we have started recording. So, good evening. We've got 30 people, 31 people. So I think it's a pretty good turnout. I think there were only 40 odd that originally said that they were going to attend. So thank you all for deciding to be with us on Sunday evening. We've got quite an exciting agenda. Where we're going to talk about things like the server statistics, have a little look at how we're growing, take a look at the economy and how the ores and things like that are going in after the most recent rebalance. We've got a recap for the May the 4th, and there's a little surprise in there, which I'm sure Isaac won't mind me sharing for his prize, which is it is in the works, I promise. I want to just cover over some bits around the changes to the player support. We put together a new model recently, and I just want to cover over that so everyone's up to date. I want to talk about inactive player cleanup, just to make sure that the server keeps running nice and cleanly and that everybody gets an opportunity to go salvaging like they did in the MMO. And then the stuff that you're probably all here for. So we've got the roadmap updates. So Jimbo is going to talk about the World PVE and give a live demo, and we've got a slide on what's to come. We've got power-ups, which is talking about electricity in factories. And then we have territory warfare, which is obviously something that I'm particularly excited about, and I know others aren't. But yeah, we're going to cover off how that's going to impact the game and what sort of different dynamics it's going to bring in. And then right at the end, we're going to pull together a community Q&A, so everyone can just fire questions at me and Jimbo. You've got as much time as you need to ask what you need to ask. So this is a Discord stage, so for anybody that hasn't used this before, it might be a bit of a new thing to sort of use, but at the end what we're going to do is open up to questions, like I say. So at the bottom you should hopefully see a request to speak button, and what that will do is ping me and Jimbo a bit of a notification, and we can sort of send them to and fro, and then we can add you to speak and you can ask away. I'm not going to hang around any longer, so I'm going to get straight into it with the server stats and the growth review. So as of today, as of about half an hour ago when I was scrambling around trying to pull everything together, we are now sitting on a total of 412 players. That does not include any NPCs, so that is actual players that are registered to the server. Very aware that I think a lot of you have got alts. Some of you might have 2 characters or something like that. So yeah, it's considering Christmas time, I think we probably had about 30 people. The year's been absolutely insane. I'll be completely honest. I think we've both been completely taken back by where we are now, and I think the growth at the bottom on the graph really just sort of shows how it was stagnant, and then coming into the new year it has really rocketed. So the other important call outs: 110 new registrations in the last 30 days. I'm not going to say that we've got a higher growth than the MMO, but I think we probably have at this point when you look at the stats and you compare it. So you can all have a little giggle about that. Over the last 30 days, 269 players have logged on to the server. Again, that is unique players, so there might be a couple of alts in there, but I think if you do the maths, even looking between the lines, there's about 135 unique players. And then finally, last 7 days, so really sort of showing the granular activity, 189 players have logged on in the last 7 days. We still haven't quite broken the 100 concurrent player mark, and it is something that we have also noticed that may eventually be a bit of a growing pain due to bandwidth and bits like that. But we've had a little look at a solution around server queuing, which might mean that when you join you might see that you're in a queue or something like that, or it might take a little bit longer than normal, but it's just to make sure that the traffic that's sort of going into the server doesn't get bottlenecked and you don't see those horrible connection errors that I think everybody panics about and thinks they can't connect. All that essentially is just too many people trying to connect and download at the same time. You have to remember that obviously where we've got the custom elements and bits like that, when new people connect or they clear their cache and things like that, it does take a little while to download. And depending on your connection speed as well, it can only go so fast. So if it ever bottlenecks and you do see that error, give it a couple of minutes, walk away, grab a cup of tea, whatever, and come back, and it should have cleared. Cool. So moving forward, quick look at the economy, and this was as of, again, 30 minutes before, because I was grossly underprepared for these slides. Grand total of 14.9 billion quanta in the game. Sounds like quite a lot. It's really not that much if you sort of think about how many players we've got, and the fact that we've been running since October. It really has grown, I would say, over the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks. We enabled all of the missions. We knew that that was going to flood a bit more quanta into the game, but obviously we did change the taxes and the way that things like that ran. So we knew that naturally that there would be a little bit more quanta going out of the game, and it seems to be balanced quite well. We haven't had many complaints about people sort of saying that they can't pay their taxes and things like that. And if you do the maths and you log in 300k a week, you get your 100k daily, and then sort of 15k for every 15 minutes that you log in, it really adds up quickly. So I just don't think that's going to be a problem. The ores are looking very healthy. The gap between the tier 2 and the tier 3 ores has really closed. There's a lot of tier 3 ores in the game, and I think most of that is 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦, from everything that's sort of on 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗏. So yeah, it's very healthy. Tier 4 ores, it's obviously a little bit more difficult to come across. You have to grab it from the external planets or the asteroids, but again, healthy. Tier 5 ores, similar sort of ballpark. So we're not too concerned about anything that's going on at the moment. We will we'll take another snapshot as of the next town hall. We'll monitor it, see how it's going, and then we'll just make a couple of tweaks accordingly. I can see a couple of people saying that all they're hearing is music, no talking. Let's just see if we can address that very quickly. See a couple of people going back. Cool. So we will carry on. Hopefully, Calvin, you can get that sorted. Okay, so May the 4th flying recap. It was our first big major server event, and I think pretty much everybody here turned up, more or less. So it was really great to see everybody come together. It's the first real event I've ran on any game, so the fact it sort of all came together was just unbelievable, really. And I do want to also give another shout out and a thank you to Commander Reigns, who built it's just mind-blowing space where everybody gathered. So if everyone can just give him a bit of a hand in that and just say thank you. That will be our place of communing moving forward. So yeah, absolutely fantastic job, and thank you again for all of your hard work. So getting into the stats then, so we had 100 or more than 100 ships flown in. It was really impressive, sort of sat on one of the radars on the little floating platform, seeing them all come in and watching the radars overload, because there were just so many ships that the game just wouldn't really compute it. There were more than 60 players that actually visited the fly-in, so the engagement was really, really good. Obviously, we streamed the whole event on Twitch. I think grand total, had about 53 hours of footage, and that was people arriving. That was our 2.5-hour walk around that took a hell of a lot longer than expected. So yeah, 42 people watching what everybody's built. It was really breathtaking. It's I think it just goes to show that although the MMO may be on a bit of a decline and it might be a little bit slow, there is really a future for this game, right? Seeing everybody come in and just building new creations, importing really old and existing ones, yeah, I just don't see this ever stopping, to be honest with you. As long as they continue to support the login, we're just going to keep doing it, as 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 said. Right, there's a couple of people that are still hearing no voices. Let's see what's going on. Okay. See everybody typing away again, so we'll continue. So 28 players signed the guest book, which is obviously a little less than the number of people that turned up. It was one of those things that you really had to be on Discord and be engaged with it to get, but everybody that did sign it got a nice little title to sort of say that they flew in, which is quite cool. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And then the alien artifacts, which I'm sure you won't mind me calling this out, Vela spent ages trying to find these artifacts, and some of them are quite well hidden, some of them you had to climb for, but there were 7 people in total that managed to find all of them. um, yeah, congratulations to those that found all of them. The little icon thing was quite cool. We'll potentially bring them back in the future. So yeah, if anybody wants them, I think you can trade them. I don't think they're locked or anything like that. So yeah, feel free to trade them about. They're quite exclusive at the minute. Get your money's worth if you really don't like the look of it. So Dumpers Depot, one of the best mini mart. I think everybody knows Commander Reigns, Captain Harlock from the MMO. Yeah, those guys and it was incredibly short notice as well. They threw together a dynamic little mini mart, which I think everybody really enjoyed. Tony and Grevlin, both joint votes on this one, I think. Won the best use of the new elements. There was a lot of use of things like the uncommon elements and the counterfeit counter. I've lost the counter phase. I always remember. Counter phase engines. So yeah, it was great to see how people are incorporating the new elements into the designs. So keep it up. It's really cool to see all of the new stuff coming into the game. And then finally, Isaac for the best use of the custom voxels, which I think was on your obscenity, your PvP ship, which is going to get shot down soon. And I'm sure you won't mind me sharing, but Isaac came up with a really cool, almost golden scale design, which you can see down at the bottom, which is getting there very slowly. But it's in a format that is now usable. It's a repeatable pattern. It's going to be glossy like gold if I can get it how I want it. And that should hopefully be coming soon. Cool. So, changes to the player support. So this is where things get a little bit more boring, I guess, for 2 minutes. So we are now at 282 support tickets. So we've got quite a lot of growing pains, and it's going to continue to grow and be more painful as we get more and more people on. So what we've had to do is have a little rethink about how we support the gameplay on the server, how we support players coming into the server, and how we support new people with the game and things like that. So I think most people here are in the main DU Discord, and that is obviously the primary place to get support for the client. But what we've done within the new player support model, some of you might have seen it, some of you might not, but I'll drop the link afterwards into the chat, is put together quite an exclusive list of what we are going to support and what we won't support moving forward. It's not us trying to be difficult or anything else, but as we say at the bottom, we really are trying to work on the roadmap. So when we get tickets asking for constructs to be recovered because they've jumped off of them in the middle of space, no, I'm really sorry. That is part of the game. Don't do it again, ask people to come and rescue you or whatever. But moving forward, if we see tickets like that come through, we will just be closing them down, unfortunately. There's plenty of really nice, helpful people in the audience and in the community. So yeah, please reach out to them if you get stuck or lost or anything else. Little table at the bottom, support stuff. So I think you both know 𝗔𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 and I. It's not a that's not a secret. Celestial you've probably seen about, and I think most of you probably know 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦. Those two guys are also going to now help us moving forward with the support tickets. So if you see any answers from those guys, they are trained and well, and there are like knowledge based bits being put together for sort of repeat problems and bits like that. Sometimes they will have to escalate the tickets because we obviously can't, for obvious reasons, give access to all of the systems. But yeah, those guys will be there to help you moving forwards. Next part on the agenda is the inactive player cleanup, and this is something that we are looking to probably do in Q3, so from July, August, September time, somewhere around there. So one problem that we are currently facing is that although the growth has been amazing, MyDU obviously doesn't have subscriptions, and subscriptions on the MMO make your accounts expire, and if your accounts don't expire, there's no cleanup and everything runs indefinitely. So mining units run indefinitely as long as there is storage, and I'm not going to call anybody out, and I don't think this person's in the chat, but there is somebody that logs in once every month that has 20 linked up XXL containers that just sits on a bunch of tier 1 ore. Again, not going to call them out, but I'm sure you can all understand why that's a bit of a problem. And then industry continues to run as long as the accounts are active. So what we need to do is to basically come up with a way of saying, if you're not playing the game, we're going to temporarily switch you off, right? So when this is announced, we are going to basically put a thing in place that says, if you have not played for the last 14 days, we are going to effectively unsubscribe your account. What does that mean? Nothing. Your account doesn't get deleted. It's exactly the same as what it would be if you cancelled your subscription on the MMO. It goes into that phase where all of your constructs sort of go onto a bit of a timer. Jumping a little bit ahead here, but we've sort of come to the conclusion that that should be 30 days. Does obviously exclude Haven and Sanctuary, exactly the same as the MMO. So if you've got stuff that you want to keep and you're not going to be about for a while, or you've decided you're just going to take a break from the game, haul it over there. And what we will do is within Discord have a new command that allows you to resubscribe. So when you come back to the game, you can do /resubscribe, type your character name in, for instance sake, and you'll be able to log straight back in. Obviously, it'll mean that you'll need to restart your mining units and your industry and bits like that. But yeah, that is going to happen. There are exemptions, which is for the uncommon supporters and above. You will be exempt. So if you are already supporting us, I know a couple of you in the audience are, you will not have to worry about this. Okay. Now the fun stuff. So, roadmap update. Originally, we were going to do this in a slightly different order, so I am going to hand over to 𝗔𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 in a second. We're going to kick off with a demo of where we are with the open world PVE. 𝗔𝗚𝗡𝗏, me, Celestial, Tony, Isaac, Orby have all been testing this, and you may or may not have noticed, you probably haven't, that this is actually technically already on the server. A couple of people have been invited to come and try it. We've sort of stress tested it a little bit. It's just sat there in the background at the moment, and it is in a really, really healthy place. For those that have been around for a while, we obviously had the old PVE mod from Void Runner, which was running on the Isle. It didn't serve us well, is probably the best way to put it. We had a lot of server crashes, we had a couple of overloads, and it caused more problems, and there weren't enough people to warrant keeping it. So what we've done is made our own version. So what I'm going to do with that is hand over to 𝗔𝗚𝗡𝗏𝗏 to show a bit of the progress, and hopefully, unless I've completely cocked something up, you should be able to now talk.
Yes, I can talk, but I cannot share my screen for some reason.
Okay.
So I don't know how I can share my screen, Gunnar. It is, I'm not able to share.
Let me see if I can pass control. I cannot. What if I stop? Can you do it now?
Yes. Thank you.
There we go.
So everybody knows our lovely NPCs. So everybody also understands how to interact with them. We can literally just press E to talk with them, and then they will ask what for mission we want to do. I will go for an easier one today, and then it will ask me if I want to accept the mission, and it will give me a location. So we set that location, and then I'm jumping in my ship. The
Jimbo,
PVE mod is tied to the
2 ticks. People can't. People haven't cottoned on to the stream yet. So
okay.
if everybody can just click it, it should come up. It should hopefully be a little screen. Hopefully you see a little video. Has everybody got it? Don't worry too much about cancelling it. You'll be alright.
Yeah, I can start over so people can see.
There we go.
It's just a black screen. Just waiting until everybody can see me. So yeah, we talk to an NPC and we tell him what for mission we want to do, and then we accept the mission. And then we can set it as destination. We hop in our ship. The NPC or the PVE mission is tied to the player that accepted the mission. You can, however, go with multiple people to either have cleanup crew for the salvage and for helping you, because the missions will be harder and harder what you choose. A legendary one, me and Lunar tested it. It's really yeah, it's really interesting to do alone, so you probably want to have a crew that helps you. So we fly out to the location, and the NPCs will only spawn when you reach that location. So nobody that just flies by at that point will be targeted. It needs to be by the, yeah, it needs to be triggered by the player that accepted the mission. That was a problem that we had before, that all the NPCs or all the PvE ships were just roaming around, and people that didn't want to interact with PvE or with PvP in general, they could be attacked. This is not possible in our system. So there is also a randomness, so it can spawn, depending on the mission that you choose, multiple ships. And then we need to, of course, interact with them and try to shoot them. They will try to hunt you down, so be sure. Okay, why is that not shooting?
So just while Jimbo's killing these off, I'll just quickly recap on what you're seeing, right? So we've initiated a PVE mission by talking to an NPC. You've gone to the NPC, you've specified the difficulty of the ship or ships that you want to go and do, or what mission you want to complete. And what we've now done is flown out to a point of interest that the NPC has given us. When you approach it, around about 2 SU or something like that, the ships then become visible and active. And the idea behind that and making them active at 2 SU is so people don't randomly trigger. They do only trigger when you, as the person that took the mission, fly into it. So you're not going to have the same problems that we faced before, where you're just a random person and they follow you to the end of Earth. And we're now killing them. So these are NPC-driven ships. These are not player-controlled. They are currently running on the server. That's it. And I'll chip back in a sec. Everyone can critique Jimbo's flying in the chat.
This is a PVE at 𝗟𝗛𝗡𝗏𝗏𝗡𝗏𝗡, I believe.
So I'm just going to talk as you're killing it. So the damage meter at the top is of the ship that you're attacking. So Jimbo's done 5.5 million damage. And then if you look at the bottom, you'll see a blue bar. And the blue bar is the shield of the ship that Jimbo is flying. So you've got their health effectively up the top, along with the hit chance just underneath. You see Jimbo's just popped it. And then you've got the shield at the bottom. Fly out with a group of 5 to shoot them up. You absolutely can. Yep. Clog-ons. The ships are going to vary, so you're not just going to get the ships that you're currently seeing. I'm probably going to give a bit of a spoiler away here, but there will be a competition coming out very soon. Sorry to spoil your thunder, Robbie. Building competition for some of these ships. So Tony won the last competition with his mini more, so there are many more missions. And yeah, we're going to be posting out some bits and bobs shortly to put a building contest out. We'll get everybody's ships in, hopefully. There will be quite a strict criteria to make sure that we don't flood the game with elements and bits like that. But yeah.
So when you have shot the NPCs, they will have, of course, the elements you can loot, but you can also loot fuel. The NPCs or the ships are literally using fuel to fly, so they can run out. So you need to pop them fast. You will also have ammo, and the ammo is also depending on how long it takes you to kill them. They can run out of ammo if you take too long. But the most important bit, they will drop, in this case, biological matter. Biological matter will be replaced with remains. Remains can be human remains, pirate remains, alien remains. all those they will have different values, and those remains you need to bring back to the mission starter, and then you will get a quanta reward depending on how much remains you turn in. So I'm gonna just loot the other one really quick. Also, the drop chances are like random, so you can have more or less. Yes, you can take the ship as a prize, so you can loot the ship, you can take the elements of it. Bear in mind, the elements will probably all have variations in lives, so they will not have like full lives left. It can be that they have 1 life, or they have 2 lives left, or yeah, depending on the element, maybe 3 lives. The despawning is indeed, like Lunar says in the chat, 30 minutes. So you have time to clean them up. They start 30 minutes after you core them. So yeah, if you do like a hard mission where there are multiple ships, you might need to have a cleanup crew that already cleans up the ships before you finish the mission completely. So I got 8 out of this box, out of the last box, and then we will come into the next one.
I do want to add what you're seeing is the base framework at the moment. I know there's a lot of questions around sort of the more intricate functionality of like shooting other people. It's not really intricate, but yeah. So what you're seeing at the moment is the framework that's been built out, right? So you can, yeah, it's going to be completely scalable. The intention is to basically have it where it may be something like threat based, or it could just be random, right? It could start shooting you, it could start shooting somebody else. Ultimately, what we wanted to do is make sure that it primarily targets the person that's taken the mission, but that's not to say that they're not going to swap off and start attacking other people.
So what you have seen is like I looted like 8 biological matter in the first one, and then 5 in the other one. Another good example is if you are not in range of the NPCs, like they will just roam around in their spawn area. So if you don't kill it, they are just active and they will despawn after 30 minutes. So yeah. After you killed some NPCs, you just go back to the mission. The mission center can be on a planet, but can also be in space. For the mission centers that will be in space, there will be a little save bubble around them. So there are no PvP, you cannot be attacked by PvPers just camping the mission pickup. Of course, out of that save bubble, they can attack you, because for PvE you need to be in PvP space. For now, for testing purposes, we made it so that the spawn distance is really close, but we are talking about making them like between 20 and 60 SU from the mission pickup. So it's randomly chosen, and if we make it further, it's almost impossible to know where your mission will be for other people unless you share them the location.
And just because we've jumbled the slides, I think it's a good time to say that obviously what you're seeing now is absolutely subject to change until it's released. But everything that you've just seen with picking it up, going and shooting them, looting them, What we've talked about in the chat about retrieving the parts and taking the ships and things like that, that is set in stone. Things like you're just about to watch Jimbo hit a station, but things like the spawn distances and things like that, there's a little bit more information on a slide that's coming up, so I'll give a bit more context to that in a tick.
And I overshot my location. Perfect. It's a perfect demo. So after you completed the mission, you can just come and talk to the NPC. And you can complete the mission. But if you don't know anymore what the location is, you can also type mission info and it will give you like the location again. And then when you come back, you complete it, you barter with him, and you are giving him the biological matter. So you give him and he will give you the quanta afterwards. So you get also a quanta bonus. And what you see in the top right is that you also get reputation changes depending on what you are doing. So if you are doing pirate missions, your reputation will go down, which will make it so that you maybe can buy special pirate parts. If you do UAF missions, you will get probably better parts from the UF stores. So that's something that we're still working on. But yeah, that's how the PVE works. That's a little demo we can give you at the moment. I think it's really fun. And I'm looking forward to complete it so people can play with it. Anything else?
I think you've covered most of it.
Yes. I will give the screen share back to you.
Lovely,
And
jubbly. Neko, hold those questions till the end. Hold those questions. So let's come back. So coming back then, just to recap on what you've just seen, right? So what you've just seen is going to be a replacement for Alien Warfare. I think anybody that's ever done Alien Warfare has had nothing but problems with it. So once this is actually released, we are going to turn it off. There is an on-off switch for it under features for the game, and once PvE is in a fit state so people can go out and shoot stuff, it's going off. So, as you've just seen, so the ships are piloted by NPCs. You will not see them in the seat because, as we found out, without doing some crazy animations, they're invincible. So even if your ship is completely toast, the NPC just sits there looking at you as if nothing's happened. So, again, the demo sort of sums it up nicely, but it sort of simulates real player behavior, right? So we've given it a finite fuel and ammo, so it's in your interest to try and kill it as quickly as possible, and it's not going to be as easy as Alien Warfare in a lot of cases, right? okay, the very easy ones are going to be attackable by anybody, right? Anybody should be able to go and do them with very little difficulty. But as you go up the scale, we want to make it as though you are fighting an experienced player. So you're going to be fighting bigger ships. They're going to have talents applied to the ships. So the very easy ones might not have any talents. They might be slow. They might reload slowly and things like that. As you go through it, it's going to be applying those same NQ talents that you can all get to that ship. So they're going to get harder, they're going to get more intelligent, and it's going to be a challenge as you go up. But the rewards will obviously reflect the difficulty. The idea is that the ships themselves are going to, or ships missions are going to vary depending on the planet that they spawn at. So around 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗏𝗏, 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗏𝗏, they're probably going to be sort of very easy and so on and so forth. I think there might be a slide on here about this. I can't remember, but I put this together somewhere. I'll share it if it's not. And then as you go further and further out towards 𝗟𝗚𝗏𝗏𝗏 and Ion and places like that, that's where you can really find those difficult missions. You'll find the hard pirates, the big battleships, where you can really get that top reputation and the best rewards possible. I've put initiating PvE ships via NPC. You've just seen Jimbo spawn it. So we're using the existing NPC framework where you talk to them with E. If you can't see, press E to talk to them. You need to turn on your mod actions and mod JavaScript. Hopefully you've all done it by now. If you haven't, shame on you. And then the last part, again, just to sort of cover it off, you get quanta rewards. We can add random loot and things like that into containers. You can salvage the ships, and obviously reputation. I've made that in bold there. For anyone that's sort of seen the settlers info panel, you would have seen that reputation is in there and it doesn't go up and down. This is our real push to sort of make reputation meaningful, and it'll be your first real opportunity other than the quest for it to go up and down, depending on whether you're going to side with the bad guys, the pirates, or the UEF, or somewhere in between. Maybe there's going to be a neutral faction. We've not worked that out yet. So yeah, hopefully that sums that up nicely. Right, now everybody is going to love this slide. So for those that have been here for a little while, you will have seen before this release roadmap, right? And what I did was go into here and I've marked off the bits that NQ actually delivered, the bits that they promised they were going to do, and the bits that they haven't done, right? So there's a lot of green. Come on, we've got to give them a bit of credit, right? They did pretty well. They did pretty well. And then around summer 2020, just fell off a massive cliff, right? It was a bit of a car crash. So, what have we got there that's missing? So, Territory Warfare, date TBC, never came out. Stabilization at the bottom. I think we can all agree that the game is somewhat stable, depending on what you're doing, which is why I put the laughing face, because I think in sometimes it's a little bit laughable. We missed power-ups, which is at the top, so the management of production and the consumption of energy. We've got player-made markets, which was a complete miss. That's not been talked about anywhere. Economy stabilization. Trading blueprints on the market never really happened, but you can kind of trade them in the form of keys or whatever they are. I forget what they are. Tokens, that's it. Space Buddies. Lovely name, that one. Where you can create a party for cooperation. That never came around. Polishing. That is laughable. I'm not going to say any more on that. Galaxies. We've got galaxies up the top. I hope everybody's seen the fact that we've opened up the space map. That was the first real big project that Jimbo and I worked on, sort of something that sits very close to my heart. And I've always said that we're probably not going to look at doing too much more with that until we get sort of 100 plus concurrent players, but it's there, it's ready. Dual Universe Mysteries, I think it's a mystery in itself, so I'm not going to touch on that. And then there's other crazy stuff, like there was going to be the ability to have factories which quite literally made fully functional ships and things like that. Yeah, that didn't come around. I can sort of see some flaws in that. AVA combat, For anyone that sort of follows the modding Discord and things like that, you will have seen that Jimbo's already technically built that. And we've also proven why it can potentially never go into the game. Everybody knows about the desync issues between the clients and the servers and everything else. It would just be a car crash. It just would not be a good experience. But you never know. That might be something that later on in life we can revisit if the development of the game continues from NQ. And then live operations, ongoing support and optimization. I think NQ kind of doesn't really do that anymore, so I gave that a bit of a red X. But what you're probably all sat here thinking is, why have I put this on here? Why is this important? I wanted to really look back at what they had promised in the Kickstarter and what the game could have been, what the game should have been. And what we've done is taken a lot of inspiration from the original roadmap to try and deliver that full experience, right? I think there's a lot of stuff on here that people really wanted to see in the release that didn't make it. So what we've done is taken 2 parts of this that we think that is achievable in the settlers form, I guess. We're obviously never going to be able to develop it properly like NQ would have with all of their sort of back-end code and bits like that, but we can mod it to a good standard. And I've highlighted 2 on here. So we've got power-ups, which is the production and the consumption of energy, which anybody with a factory is currently shitting themselves over, rightly so. And then the territory warfare, which was, I think, going to be probably one of the more controversial pieces that they were going to release, where all of the external planets were going to have that full PvP experience. I can't really put it any other way. That atmospheric experience. You fly into a planet and there's no safe zone outside of that big original bubble. So here's my caveat. This is what was meant to be on the earlier slides, but we rejuggled them. So everything that you're about to see is subject to change. But there are a couple of proof of concepts which have already been done. We have an idea of how some of these things can be done. So by me saying that we're going to do power and territory warfare, it is going to come in some form in the future. So let's talk about the cool stuff, power-ups. So energizing your factory, right? What are we going to do with this? So we are going to bring in a way to manage the production and consumption of energy. I'm going to throw this out there nice and early so there's no complications. This is going to be exclusively for factories with the first release. We've not spoken about giving power to dynamic constructs or anything like that. I think that would get very messy very quickly. But we'll see. Never say never. This is hopefully going to introduce 2 new gameplay loops. So we're going to have the production of energy and the consumption of energy, just following again the NQ roadmap. And the intention is that this really brings in 2 things, right? It's going to add a new dynamic to factory management. So you're going to really have to think about the machines that are running, what you're producing. And for anybody that is currently running a solo mega factory, this is a target to you guys, and it will be a revision to how mega factories are ran. I think anybody that really thinks about factories in an MMO can understand why a solo player shouldn't be able to run a mega factory unless they're online all the time. Let me caveat it there, right? And there are some people here that do play a lot. Those people are probably going to be grossly unaffected, but for somebody that doesn't play that often, it's going to be a bit of an arrow in the knee, but it's not going to say that you're not going to be able to do it. It's just going to hinder you slightly. So producing energy. We're going to add a new ore type into the game, and this is a big TBC because Jimbo gave this to me just before, but this is what we've tested with, alkaline. So alkaline is what's used in pretty much all of the batteries, I think, more or less across the world. And it's going to be harvested with a new variant of the mining unit. It will be refined into a new type using a new type of industry machine into usable energy. So you're going to have to get the alkaline, and then you're going to have to refine that into something that is usable. This is a big TBC, but we are currently working out a way to be able to only store the items in a battery type container. And we do have a working proof of concept. The intention is by the time we get to this time next month, that will be our demo. So we can hopefully show you how that is going to work then. We're obviously going to give lots of heads up and things like that before we push this out. The intention isn't to push it out and cripple everybody. So, producing the energy. Planets and moons, 𝗟𝗡𝗡 size. So planets and moons, Haven and Sanctuary, the 𝗟𝗡𝗡 size is going to be very small. So if you're running a big factory on Haven at the moment, you're probably going to be the most affected. 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦, 𝗟𝗚𝗡, they're sort of like your next step, I guess, beyond those starting moons. You're going to have a small pool size. 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 region is going to be medium if you're brave enough to go over to a region. 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗏 and 𝗟𝗡𝗏 is going to be high, and then your outer planets are going to be very high. So a couple of notes at the bottom. The further away you go from the center, you're going to get a higher ore yield, and this is subject to change. It's something that sort of sprung into mind before. Originally, we were going to have all territories with the same pool size. That may change, but if it doesn't, what it's going to mean is you're going to be able to pick up any territory on any planet, and regardless of the territory, it will have the same size of 𝗟𝗡𝗡. 𝗔𝗚𝗘𝗏𝗧𝗘𝗥𝗦, just in your question, just for alkaline. So all of the existing tier 1, tier 2 upwards are going to stay exactly the same. Alkaline, the power source, will have the same 𝗟𝗡𝗡 size. So that will be unaffecting. How do I get more? How do I get more power? I'm running a massive factory. You can claim more territories. Obviously, each territory is going to have its own pool. So same as you would with if you needed more tier 1 or any other ore, you claim another tile, you pull it out. You can move to a planet with higher ore pools, or fly to a planet, get that power, bring it back, or you can buy the surplus alkaline or the refined energy directly from other players. So there's going to be plenty of new economic options. New ship type Tesla Model 3. Awful distraction, but yeah. But yeah, there's going to be lots of new opportunities. Obviously, primarily ore trade is the thing that really drives the MMO. It's what sets the prices and things like that. And yeah, that's where we're going to be with this. I'm not going to cover off any more questions, so please keep them for the end, and I'll come back to any others. So consuming energy. Energy is going to be consumed every time that a machine runs to produce an item, and you're probably sat there in the back of your head thinking, oh fuck, not schematics again. Spoiler, it actually runs off of the same system that schematics does. The difference is you're not going to have to sit there and wait for it to queue up and things like that. It is actually going to use machines like it probably should have to produce it. You're not going to have to pay quanta or anything like that. It will just run like another sort of miner to refiner system. So the amount of energy that is used is going to depend on the time that an item takes to run. So if you've got something that only takes a minute or 30 seconds, it might only consume a couple of power. If you're doing something that's an XL item, it's obviously constantly running, it's going to take more power. It is going to run from everything from refiners to XL assembly lines. So it's going to cover all of the existing industry. Mining units themselves do not consume energy, so they can just keep chugging as they are. And the alkaline extractors, that's not an actual name of them, that's something that I've just made up, but it kind of makes sense. And the refiners for the power are not going to consume energy. And it is quite likely that you're going to be able to make these in your nano pack, or on some other sort of small machine or something like that. We haven't worked that out yet, but we're not going to make it impossible. We'll work that out the closer we get to it. So, how much does each machine cost? I feel like this is going to be a pretty common question. Again, just to recap on that, it depends on the time that the machine is going to take to run. It is still being worked out. Whatever we decide to do, if we decide to go down the route of it being time-based, I'm going to have to update over 3,000 recipes, which, as I'm sure you can appreciate, is going to be absolutely awful, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then the burning question that we've had from a couple of people, what if I run out, right? Your factory will start to fail, right? And the machines will fail in no particular order. They will not stop running, but they will get to that state where they are pending, which I think you probably all see today if you run out of ore and things like that. But they will just randomly stop. And obviously the way to control that would be to turn some things off and then allow the other machines to run. So factory management itself is going to be a more manual process of making sure the right machines are running at the right time. Okay. So, the controversial one, territory warfare. So, this is hopefully going to run. There was an interview that was done many moons ago, back with JC when he was still part of NQ and when he had a big vision and before he got booted off for doing things he shouldn't have done. But what I wanted to do is just run the video quickly because he explains it very well, probably far better than what I'm going to do. And hopefully you can see the sort of vision that NQ has and how we're going to use that vision to then implement that into the server, hopefully. So please don't have any technical problems. And that's where I cut it. So hopefully everybody caught that. Now I'm not going to be able to skip forward. There we go. So territory warfare is, in essence, PvP on planets. It is our second go at atmospheric PvP. We've obviously already got atmospheric PvP on a region. I don't know how many people have done it already. If you haven't, this is your calling to go and try it to get prepared for territory warfare, which is coming. Go and work out what works, go and work out what doesn't work. Jimbo and I have tested this quite a lot. It is not as smooth as space PvP, it's just different. Okay? So, as JC said on the video, this is going to bring strategic values to tiles with higher resource pools. So we don't have the traditional sort of flower setup that NQ has, but we do still have tiles and things like that that have naturally higher ore pools. So there will be a strategic advantage of going to attack those because you can go and claim it and you'll be able to go and get better resources, right? And ultimately what this does, it creates a reason to defend your territory, and hopefully what we would like to see is the building of alliances and further relationships. There's a lot of people that are sort of playing solo at the moment. There are a couple of groups that are in organizations and bits like that. There's been some PvP going on. But this moving forward should hopefully bring everybody a lot closer together. You will have to work together if you want to keep your tiles, but just to re-emphasize again, you cannot attack a territory unless you own the one next to it, right? So it's I think in the video they use the example of planet side, if anybody's used it. So you have to have a territory next to the tile that you're attacking to be able to potentially claim that tile if you're successful. And for those that need it spelling out, if you own a flower and you have a factory in the middle of a flower, if you've got base shields on the outside of that flower, you have a 24-hour grace period to get your stuff up and out before somebody comes and can potentially attack you. Maybe even longer, because it's obviously a 24-hour lockdown timer. But yeah, that should hopefully give you all a bit of an idea of how that could work. So the idea behind this, just to quash any concerns, the safe planets, what you would sort of expect: Haven Sanctuary, 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 and the Moons, 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 and the Moons, 𝗟𝗛𝗡 and the Moons. They are all going to be safe planets. So I think this is originally why NQ had that huge safe zone bubble, right? That was there to be the protective barrier between everything that's safe and everything that is not safe. And when we come around to implementing the territory warfare, we'll probably put that big safe zone bubble back in, just the default bubble. So the flight paths between 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦 and 𝗟𝗚𝗡 and then 𝗟𝗛𝗡s, it will become safe again, right? Obviously you can shuttle at the minute, but it doesn't make sense for that not to be safe when everywhere else is unsafe. So territory warfare in the big angry red letters at the bottom: Talamai, Feli, Arisian, Sidin Takari, Jago, Tioma, Simeon, Ion, Lacobus, and all the respective moons moving forward, when this is implemented, will be unsafe. So that will mean that someone can attack your space stations above those planets. It means that they can fly into the planet, and it means that they can attack your static and your dynamic constructs on the planet. Okay. So how is this actually going to work? And I tried to explain this, but I've put together a diagram just so everybody's completely clear. So you can see there you've got a flower. You've got one tile in the middle that ultimately you want to go and attack. So I've claimed a tile on the outside, the red tile, and to be able to get to the center of that flower, I need to attack either of those outer leaves of that flower before I can then get to that center one. So your tile has to be touching another tile to be able to take it. You cannot just simply go and attack someone's tile. So you can build safety, and I've put on the right hand side base shields. Base shields are going to be your best friend, right? We've implemented basic through to exotic base shields. They're pretty cheap, pretty easy to make, certainly the basic ones. They all have a 24-hour lockdown timer. So whether you're putting down just a basic one on your outer leaves of your flower, just to sort of give it a little bit of protection and a bit of a buffer, you can do that. You can then obviously put down a rare or an exotic one on your center one if you intend on defending it. It takes a lot of ammo, as we found recently, and I'm sure that 𝗔𝗚𝗞𝗦 has probably suffered the same thing to take those base shields. So it does take a little while to chunk through them. But yeah, we've obviously reworked it on this server, so it is an attacker's advantage. So from the point that your territory is locked down, you've got 24 hours. And when it's locked down, you can pull the resources out of it. You cannot enter build mode. As far as I'm aware, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I won't be offended. So at the point where you are locked down, that's it. You're done, right? You need to defend it or you're going to get rolled over. Okay. So again, just to add a couple of closing notes on this piece, attacked and claimed territories work in the same way as if you were to just claim a territory today. So you can requisition the constructs that are on that tile. We've then added in a little part here. So we don't today, right? And this is something that Jimbo and I have both looked at. We don't currently have a method of making this work, but we've got a couple of ideas. Potentially where we can make territory units have a shield the same way as a base shield does. So you have to attack someone's territory unit and basically wear it down to the point where you lock it down. So then you're not going to have to like kill off all of the static constructs or something like that to take a territory. You will just attack somebody's territory, lock it down, and then you can sort of move forward with that. Again, to echo, that gives you 24 hours to prepare a defense or flee if you're using base shields. If you're not using base shields, someone is going to be able to just come and shoot it. So make base shields. I can't emphasize that enough. The intention is that territory taxes still need to be accounted for. So if you are attacking someone, it's still going to cost you to put a territory unit down. So if you're attacking just a poor defenseless miner, right, someone that's just got a couple of mining units, it's still going to cost you 500k to put that down, right? I think that's what we left it at. So think about whether it's actually worth, taking that. Because if it's just got a couple of basic mining units on it, you're probably not going to want to waste your time. By the time you've burnt through the taxes and then the base shield, you're going to be out of pocket. All right. And in a warning color at the bottom, we are going to give plenty of notice before this is released. So I know people have got constructs and things like that in space. I know you've got them on the planets. We will probably give at least 2 weeks notice, if not more, before this is going out. So you have got plenty of time to clean up, grab your stuff, get out of there before it turns into a war zone. Otherwise, base shields, put your base shields down, lock everything down. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, and with that, I am going to come back to Q&A, and 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦, you've just asked a really good question. So I am going to flip over to the Discord capture on my screen, and I'm going to leave that open for now. Can everybody see at the bottom the request to speak button? Just give us a thumbs up or something else. Amazing. So before we go into that, and before I open up the stage, I just want to address 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦's question. There is no collision in this game. This wasn't something that we've done. And when I say collision, what that means is you can effectively shoot through planets, you can shoot through asteroids, you can shoot through ships, you can shoot through other shields. NQ decided to build the game that way. There is unfortunately nothing that we can really do about that. So if you bury a base shield underground, or if you bury your base underground, someone can just shoot through the ground. It's not our doing. It's not great. It's not even good, but that's what we've got. Cool. Has anybody got any questions? Anybody brave enough to come on the microphone? Oh, Peckham, invite to speak. Hello,
Can
sir.
you hear me?
Yeah, got you loud and clear. How you doing?
Oh, good, Luna. How are you?
Good stuff. Yeah,
great,
good, thank you.
Great town hall. One question.
Yeah.
Since I enjoy asteroid mining, why would I want to go all the way out 60 SU to an asteroid to mine basic material when I can get more basic material on every planet? I can mine T2 materials on, salvation, whatever it's called. But the chances are is that I have about a 50 to 60% chance of hitting a basic asteroid 60 SU away from Ion or 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗞𝗦. I mean, and I know in the other game, they made it a little bit more interesting that if you wanted to go and do T1 or T2, or you can go and do a local asteroid close to Alioth. But
Yep.
Once you get into PvP space, you're looking for more T3 to T5 ore.
So we actually have custom asteroid spawns here. So if that's something that you're finding, that's something that we can probably tweak. You're not meant to have loads of basic asteroids around Alioth, Madis, and 𝗖𝗏𝗓𝗏𝗓. In fact, I think there's like 2 or 3. I'll let Jimbo check it in the background while we're talking, and we'll confirm it in the chat. But we can actually control what asteroids spawn around what planets because we've got a custom mod for that. So if you're seeing
Yeah, I
that,
know that. Mhm.
yeah, that is something that we can potentially
Just
tweak
for
and
example,
change.
I did
Yeah.
𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗏 last week, and 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗏, out of 7 asteroids, I got 5 basics.
Oh,
I
okay.
got a 5 basics, an uncommon, and an advanced.
Okay. Well, that's definitely something
So
that we
you
can
know,
look into.
it's time wasting, because
Yeah.
why go and find a basic when you can mine more ore on Alioth than you can know what to do with.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look at it two ways, right? The ore that you get on Alioth is from obviously the mining units, right? And you have to wait for those mining units. You can calibrate them and you can pick it up off of the floor, but what you're getting off of the asteroids is actually enhanced ore rates. So we've tweaked the asteroids where you've got obviously you use your mining tool. It's quicker, it's more efficient. We've tweaked the efficiency so you get double, I think, or 1.5 times the amount of ore. So for people that can't get that immediate ore on Alioth or the other planets, it's like the perfect solution. And a lot of those basic asteroids, or some of them, are in the safe zone as well.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
Just that, I mean, the T3s have like 1 T3 node. The advanced have maybe 2 T3 nodes.
Yeah.
And the rare has maybe 3 T3 nodes or 2 T4 nodes. So there isn't a great amount of ore, which is fine, but no one wants to have to go through coal and bauxite to get to the ore that you want to get to, because you've got 2 hours before people are going to come shoot you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some of that comes down to sort of mining strategy as well. I know that I think a couple of others have gone out as a group and basically scalped an entire asteroid, right? If you want to go out and get the ores quickly and you want to get to those higher tier ores, it might be better off going out with people. You know, speak to people,
Sure.
try and find people that want to go out with you, strip it. You've obviously got the claim function in the game, so you can mine the ore, claim it as yours, and then you can see whose is whose. So there's no confusion or anything like that. But we'll have a look into the basic asteroids. We'll try and work out what's going on. I can see Jimbo behind me on the screen, so I'm sure he'll
Yeah, just
probably pop
trash
it
the
in the chat.
T1s and T2s. Give us something to go and mine.
We'll see.
I think it would increase PvP too.
We can't make it too easy, right? If we throw loads of tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 into the game, everybody's going to be able to get it, and then it sort of breaks the economy in its own way.
I agree, but the way you've done it is pretty clever, is that there isn't that much of T3, T4, and T5 ore on the asteroids. There's maybe 2 or 3 nodes, and that's it. Then they're gone.
Yeah. But like I said, we can look at that. I'll scribble that down somewhere. I can see him scrolling. So Jimbo, when you're ready, you can pop it in the chat. All right.
Thanks, boss.
Cool. Thank you very much. I'll move you back.
I'm just looking at the spawn amount that are not in use. So there are, yeah. Of course, if you divide it by planets, yeah. I see what we can tweak. We will need to tweak it then to a little bit more higher.
Higher tiers, the further out you go, or something like that. Cool.
Something we can.
All right, lovely. All right, Isaac, you're next on the list, sir. Isaac, are you with us? No. I've invited you to speak. You should hopefully have a pop-up to accept it if you wanted to come say a couple of words. There we go.
Hello.
There we go. All yours.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, good. You?
Yeah, good. I got a couple of questions actually. So
Yeah.
This is mainly around the power stuff. Would you consider adding alkaline ore to asteroids?
I think, and I can give you an almost immediate answer to that. I think the answer was going to be no.
Okay. the refiners, the generators for it.
Yeah.
Would you be allowed to have more than a single generator per construct?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. And does this affect everything in the factory? So like refiners, metalworks, smelters, or is it only going to be certain machines?
It is going to be everything. The only one that's got a bit of a question mark about it, and it's something that someone asked the other day, is transfer units.
10-4.
And that I do not have an answer for because there are not technically recipes for transfer units. So truthfully, I have no idea how that's going to work. Not sure if we can do it. So a provisional no for transfer units.
Cool. Appreciate it.
No worries. Anything else?
That's it.
Cool. Thank you. Nekor, coming to you, sir. Hello, mate.
Hello, good evening.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for hosting the town hall. And I had a few questions, but you already answered at least two of them.
Oh, good.
So I got one question left. It's about the PvP warfare.
Yeah.
So the planet warfare. Will the tags on the tile you attack stay on the tile when it goes to you as the new owner? So let's say I shoot a tile up, I claim it, somebody forgot to put a shield on or whatever, but he had 6 million in tax to be paid for the future. Will it stay on the tile, or will it be, well, paid back to the original owner?
So, interestingly, we were speaking about this 15 minutes before this presentation. And the short answer is we don't know, but we think that it is going to transfer to the new owner.
Okay, yeah, that's what's happening when you tokenize one over.
Yeah. So you will have to probably manage the taxes on the territories accordingly. If you just chuck like weeks and weeks on it, and then someone attacks it, obviously you risk losing that. So that's something else to think about and consider.
Keep in mind, they will get a notification that the base shield will be attacked normally, unless they don't have a base shield on it. But if they have, they have 24 hours to pull out any excess
Monies.
territory.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Thanks. I think that's all of it. I try to write down a few of the other questions. I don't know if you all do, but I can put them in chat later.
Cool. All right, nice one. Thanks, Nekor.
Yeah.
Right, let's come to the chat. I'm just going to start from what I can see. Nekor, if you want to dump them in there, I'll attack them. So, is it possible to get a guide on the quarry NPCs? Risty, there isn't so much a guide on the NPCs at the moment, but that is something that we have spoken about that we might be able to put together. Is it more of a generic guide that you're after on how to use the NPCs for buying, selling? Cool. Okay, that's absolutely fine. I've just broken my pen. Give me 2 seconds. That is absolutely magical. Right, let's try that again. Okay, so guide for NPCs. We can absolutely do that. They are pretty much the same for all of them, so we can put together, I think it'll be 3 guides because we've got a buy, a sell, and then an exchange. We don't really use the exchange too much at the minute, but yeah, we can put that together. What else have we got? So answered questions from Nekor, no worries at all. Right. Can you opt out of tile warfare because I just come to build and chill, not PvP? No. If you want to build and chill and not PvP, you have, and I will go back on the slides here, You have options for safe planets, right? So if you're on 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗞𝗦, Haven Sanctuary, you're safe. Otherwise, you are going to be vulnerable. I think that's plenty of room for people to build. That's where most people settle. So if you're on any of those planets, you're absolutely fine. Cool. If you're not building on anything but 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗏, you're grossly unaffected. Gonna have a quick scroll up. Is there any lure around energy? Now that is a very good question. Lure for energy isn't going to be so much a thing. Think of it more as lure for industry. So if you already run lure for industry, it will be exactly the same thing. Energy itself isn't going to be like a brand new system. It's using the existing systems, so you'll be able to leverage hopefully the existing lure to manage that. Hopefully that answers that. What else have we got? Will maintenance units be able to disassemble during lockdown? No. Once you are locked down, you cannot enter build mode, which means I think you can't run maintenance units. But that is a very good question and something that I need to check. Okay. And I think anybody's open to answer that. So if you've done any Alien Warfare, Alien Core stuff before, I'm guessing the answer is no. So if you're locked down, I don't think you'll be able to use a maintenance unit. Okay, so just working through, is there any concern about adjusting the amount of quanta people get from missions to drive more demand for large quanta gains to the market and personal shops? I think that we probably have more complaints about people not having enough quanta than any other complaint that we have in the game. So enabling those extra missions, enabling all of the missions, gives people that opportunity to go and make pretty much as much money as they want as long as they're logged in, right? There's nothing stopping anybody from going to the personal shops. We have channels in Discord for want to sell and things like that. So if you have a shop, you can post up a little link on that and you can bump it regularly and get people involved. You can put it in the chat. We're not driving people away from markets and shops at all. There's no intention to do that. If people aren't coming to your shop, I would say it's probably just not advertised enough. What else have we got? So coming through. Does the PvP planet have alkaline on it? 𝗟𝗚𝗡𝗏𝗏, that is a very good question. We need to have a little think about that, because obviously the way that it's been built at the moment is based on the proof of concept we did for atmospheric warfare. Ideally, I would like to probably repurpose the planet rather than remove it. We'll maybe put a poll up or something like that closer to the time to see if people still think it's needed. I like the idea of having a planet that is really rich in ores, and once we have those sort of like frameworks in for territory warfare, we might be able to open those territories up so people do have to claim them, which will then possibly enable that territory warfare on a region as well. But we can see close to the time. What else have we got? Where are you able to harvest alkaline? So alkaline, let me go back in the slides. Where are we? Alkaline is going to be available on all of the planets and moons. It is not going to be available on asteroids. Do we know how all the batteries are going to connect to machines? Are there different batteries? That is a very good question, Vela. Not one that we've really spoken about yet. I think the intention will be to have maybe different variants of battery. So maybe we'll have like a basic battery up to an exotic battery or something like that. Don't know about sizes. Not really thought too much about that. Obviously, Vela, you're brand new to the game, so you've probably never experienced schematics. You might have heard people moaning about it. But with the containers, you can basically right-click those containers and basically set them as like a schematics container. Our intention is to basically have one battery per territory, so you can feed your machines with that battery in the same way that schematics was sort of fed out of that schematics container. So we're going to reuse that logic. So the battery itself is probably going to be beefy. We're living in space, we're in the future, right? So the batteries don't have to be huge for the power storage, but that is going to be the same sort of function that we use. We can sort of explain that a little bit more towards the time. What else have we got? When the changes to factories and power comes around, will there be an adjustment to quanta to drive more people to use in the market, since currently the larger orgs have no reason to put things on the market and the market items are more reactionary? This is a tricky one, right? Because we're a completely player-driven economy. We don't really have bots that sort of feed the markets and things like that. I think personally that the larger orgs, unless they're very active, might struggle to keep their factories running if we sort of plan it properly, or they're going to have somebody that is managing it as a full-time sort of job within the game. They will probably have to sell items rather than just responding to the buy orders and the sell orders. Hopefully that helps. Risty, one battery per tile, one battery per core. It will be, got to think now how it works. Schematic containers, I believe, are per core, so it will be per core. Is lithium going to be sort of used for power storage?
Can have, sorry, Lunar,
You
you can have multiple batteries on a core, but you can only use one as an active battery container. If that makes sense, because you can only toggle one as schematics container, I believe, if we use that logic. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're all good. Lithium, we haven't spoken about yet. I don't want to talk about other sources of power at this point, because I don't think we are in a position to really talk about it. We're not that far along the development cycle. But if we end up introducing new systems, I think you might be able to get different types of power in different systems. But that's where I'm going to leave that. So my times vary online. Sometimes I'm on to try and defend. Actress, that is unfortunately just part of the game. This is kind of why I've pushed and said the word base shield probably about 20 times today. If you build out a bit of a stronghold, you should be able to defend yourself for quite a while. It's 24 hours on lockdown, so let's say someone takes it at 12 o'clock today. 12 o'clock tomorrow is the time where someone can come and attack it, and then they will have that same one on the next one and the next one and the next one. So by the time they actually get to the center of a flower, well, obviously with the flower it's a bit different because there's only one, but if you were to build out a bigger flower or consume more territories, you would be able to build more protection. Or, like I said, great opportunity to start networking, find some people that might be more interested in PvP or defense or offer services and things like that. and then they can come and protect your house for you. Peckham, are there NQ Rex around all planets or just Alioth? They are around all planets. Are they replaced on a schedule? Yes, I believe, and I need to check this, I think they might be replaced every 3 days off the top of my head. For those that are not aware, some of the Rex have enhanced elements. Just to give everybody a fair advantage here, if you find some of the medium and the large core Rex and they've got gunner seats, they have talents applied to those seats that are beyond what you as a player can get, which is why a lot of the Rex are not actively spawning, because people are going out and they are getting those seats and they are using those seats to build their own construct with those seats for more guns, more capacity and things like that. So yes, they are replaced on a schedule. People are just proactively going out to find them. Cool Ice Tea, if we are using the schematics to substitute for energy, will talents affect it? That is a very good idea. I'll be honest, that's not something that we've looked at, but I know that we can make alterations to talents and things like that. So if we go down that route, we'll do it. I would like to try and keep it as simple as possible, because if it gets too complicated, it's going to become an unmanageable beast. So at the time that we do that, what I may also do is look to remove anything related to schematics from talents. But we'll see. That might be a bit of a clean up, or it might be something that we can use. I'm not really sure, but I'll scribble that down. Atmo PvP and mission pickups. Grevlin, I feel like you've asked this question a couple of times, and I've given you the same flippant answer, but I'm going to give it to you again. The outer planets are obviously unsafe, right? So if you are running those large mission packages to those outside planets, they are unsafe, and you can get shot. What does that mean? That means that you are absolutely moving forward going to need a shield on your ship, because someone is going to shoot you, more than likely, just to assume the worst. And it also means that you're going to need to be able to get in and out quite quickly. So whereas we see these mega haulers today carrying 6 or 7 packages or whatever across 2 characters, I'm going to say that might be less feasible if you have or want some sort of a chance to escape the PvP, because you're going to need to get in and out pretty quickly. We'll have to sort of see how that goes. I may put a bubble around some of those areas, but I'm not going to commit to that just yet, because I don't really know the impact of it. But we will see how it goes. If everybody keeps getting murdered, maybe we'll change it. Coming down, so they'll need to buy energy off the market at a rate that requires them to sell items. Doing the missions and making it won't be enough to buy the stuff. Don't know. I don't know how much energy is going to be produced. I don't know how much is going to be consumed, because honestly we can't really track how many machines are running at once or anything like that. It is going to be a little bit of trial and error. But all I will say is that energy is going to become a new currency for anybody that wants to run a factory. So we will have to just sort of feel it out and see. We're not going to set any prices for the alkaline or the power or anything like that. So over time, I think it will naturally find some sort of its own market, same way that tier 1s seem to find a bit of a price and sell there. I think energy will probably sell at a price, and then it will probably end up getting quite competitive. What else have we got?
Can we move power from a transfer unit to from one container to an active container? I think we need to test that, but I would now say probably yes.
I can't see why that wouldn't work, because it's just another element.
Yeah.
We just need to test it. And obviously the territory units themselves, like I said, they're probably not going to consume power, right? So that should be absolutely fine. Okay.
The estimate energy release date time, I think that's not really set yet because it's a test. We have done some tests. We have a working proof of concept, but we need to iterate on it. But the first thing that needs to go out is the PVE, so people can play with the PVE, and then probably the next two things that we will look into is territory warfare and energy. Like Lunar said before, will probably showcase the energy, how we think that energy can be used in the next town hall next month. So it's probably not something that will be added in the next 2 or 3 months, I would say. But it's not we didn't set a release date yet.
No, I think realistically it'll be before the end of the year. Yeah. Okay. I think we've covered everything. Has anybody got any other questions? I can't even see the time. I don't know what the time is. So, yeah, I'm going to ask, has anyone got any other questions? A couple of people are typing now. Get ready, Jimbo. Next one's for you. Awesome. Okay, I think in that case we will bring it to a close. If there's any other closing questions, pop them in here. This channel's not going to disappear. I'm going to leave this here because we'll use it moving forwards. This is all recorded, so all of the questions will be on the video. I'll post it up on YouTube and I'll share it about so then people can see it. Please feel free to share it around anywhere. It's not going to be internal or anything like that. This is stuff that we've sort of committed to doing. And that's it. So thank you all very much for coming. We had amazing attendance. Before you all drop off, I'm going to try and get a screenshot of who was here because I would like to give everyone a little thank you title. You know what I like to do. So anyone that stayed to the end is going to get some goodies. That's it. Right, I'm going to hit stop recording.